せいたしました。これより FitFits with hacomonoトラックでは、ディレクタスウェブアーキテクトギリアム・ショー様によるセッション rstore とローカルファーストなストア構築の課題をお届けします。Guillaume, are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
ありがとう。
それではよろしくお願いします。
ありがとう。So hi everyone. So I'm very grateful to be here. Second time in Japan. It's been amazing, like the first time. So yeah, my name is Guillaume, and I'm now part of the directors team. So directors is a headless CMS using Vue, and now we're moving to use Next and also rstore, which is the topic of today's talk. So yeah, there's also going to be a lot of cat gifs, as usual, in my talks. So you can find me on Blue Sky with Guillaume at .guillaume.dev. So what is exactly rstore? So rstore is actually a data management solution, and it's very useful to build any kind of like scale application of any kind of scale, even the small one. Usually you need you end up having some sort of data management, and there's been a lot of like tools to help with that, and rstore is one of them. So you may have like heard of or used Vuex, or also Pinia. Pinia is amazing. So rstore is part of this type of libraries. So why is data management quite important? It's because usually in your application you have a lot of components that are interconnected and use the same data. So for example, you could have a profile form to update the user profile information, but you also have little avatar of the current user in the app header, top right, for example. And if you don't use a data management solution, you could have some bugs, like if you save a new avatar in the form page, it doesn't like update the avatar in the top of the application, right? So it's really helpful to be able to like centralize the data of the whole application in a single source of truth place, which is usually done in a data management library. So rstore is a little bit different from the other libraries because it's I view it more as a like flexible framework to build a data solution. So the main thing I started when building rstore was to create a plugin system. That's like the first thing I did. So because I really wanted it to be really flexible and be be usable in any kind of like application or use case. So here's an example of an application with Next, and you can see that in when you use rstore, most of the time you're going to use also plugins for rstore. So rstore by itself doesn't do any fetching. It's like all done in plugins. So it's totally fine for me if you like write your own plugin in the project. It's basically calling fetch, right? So usually in your application, for example, in the Next application, you use fetch in your components. So I would expect also to like create a rstore plugin to like use $fetch, for example, in Next. But you can also reuse existing plugins. So for example, I have a Drizzle plugin. I will show you later, which is kind of cool. So here's an example of a setup for rstore. So you create an instance with a schema of collections. So that's a big difference, for example, with Pinia, because Pinia is like really freeform, and you don't really have a structure. But rstore does have a schema. So you define collections. So let's say to-dos, for example, and it's basically kind of like a table, right, in a database. So then you can, in your components, use rstore to do all kind of things. So for example, you could create an item or multiple items, or you could create an item, update an item, delete an item, like usual things you do in application. But I think it makes it really easy, like from the Vue side of things, because you don't need to like really worry about like creating a store each time you need to handle a new kind of data type. You just reference the to-do collection, for example, and then do some operations, some mutations or queries. Here's a real life-like example in a Vue component with an interesting API, which is the form object you can create with some methods from rstore, which really helps with forms, because forms are always a pain, right? Who like building forms here? Nobody? Oh, you're brave. So it actually has a lot of features. It's not like V1 yet, but it's actually packed with a lot of things. And the thing I like the most is that it's fully type safe, and you have all of the types for all of the collections. And if you provide types for the collection items, it will like be passed down to the entire rstore API in the components. So you will always have full safety everywhere, even if you have like relations between collections and stuff. So how does it work exactly? So in your component, you're gonna interact mostly with the collections API. So for example, you are querying a to-do. And it's actually being transferred this query to plugins. And that's where most of the actual fetching logic will happen. So rstore itself doesn't really care about the way you fetch your data in the plugins. So it means you can use any kind of ways. So it could be a REST API, it could be graphical, it could be, and everything could be sent through a WebSocket, for example. It doesn't really care about it. So that's why it's kind of like a framework. And you also have a very important piece of rstore, which is the cache, which I will talk a little bit more about later. So here are a few keywords, but I'm gonna skip that slide. Maybe I will remove this slide, it's boring. So this one is more interesting. So you can see we have a normalized cache on the left. So that's where most of the logic of rendering your components will use when you're like using a query. So like the actual rendering of the component, we use what's inside the cache. And then you can also do fetching in parallel. So for example, you could say that the query is cache on fetch, so it can read the cache and also do new requests. For example, if you go back to a page, it's nice to like refetch in the background, you know, that kind of things. So it's like totally doable. And you can see that most of the work is going to be in the plugin. So for example, here, doing a REST API call. So actually, when you do a query, it's like doing almost exactly this. So it's a bit longer, the code, actually, but it's a good summary, I think. So it's actually the pick many method is an actual method you can use. It's actually reactive. So you can like put it into a computed, and it will like automatically re-render your components. So for example, if a new object arrives in the list, it will automatically update. And then in parallel, you can like have a find many call, which is the other side of the coin, let's say. And that's the part where you can do like fetching to actual servers and stuff. So here's an example with find many. What could happen as well? It could be that it uses pick many to like see what's in the cache and if it needs to fetch again or not, right? And you can see an example of all of the plugin hooks. So they are pretty extensive plugin hooks. So like the biggest part of the API for like internal API of not really internal, but the biggest API in rstore are the plugin hooks. So you have a lot of them. So it means it's very flexible, and you can like create all kinds of different logics for fetching data in your application. Let's do some demo. So I'm going a little bit quick on the slides because I want to do more live demos. So let's try something. I'm going to live code some demo. So we should have an application running here. I'm sorry, the screen is very, very small. So let's change this code here, right? And let's use rstore in our component. So the first thing we usually do is get the store. And the nice thing is that the store is going to be fully typed with the Pokemons. And I can do a query many. And it's actually an hybrid promise. So you can either like get the results like in a sync way, but it's going to be like empty until the request is made. Or you can await it if you're like using Next with suspense and that kind of things. And then we can probably show it here. So it's going to be probably empty because my database is empty. But we can remedy that. Oh, sorry. Oh. Okay. So it's not going to display anything anymore. So let's create a form. So let's say I'm going to like sort to inverted. Can we invert? Next slice. Oh, it's too reversed, sorry. Okay. So let's create a form here. So what I can do here is that I can create an object for this. So I can say store Pokemon, create form. And then I can pass the state. So it's actually the form object, like holding the form data. And on submit, I can say create form, create Pokemon dot submit, $submit. So all of the special props in rstore are like in Vue, prefixed with dollars, like in the old Vue days, let's say. And we can have, for example, a Pokemon select. Here. So I'm going to actually assign to create Pokemon the event and maybe add a submit button, right? So, oh, sorry, I have Copilot. Maybe I should disable that. So you can, for example, say create Pokemon $loading and then create or add. So let's go back here. So we have a form here. So let's say we want network is not cooperating. So let's say we want Bulbasaur. Yeah, the Wi-Fi is not really great. Sorry about that. Oh, yeah, I forgot. I need an ID. Sorry. So why I need an ID is because I want to also show offline support later. So I need to generate the ID on the client side. So that's why I didn't generate it on the server. So let's try again. So now I have a Pokemon. So let's give it a little bit more style because it's pretty bare. You see, I have types from the collection. Not too big. Yay. Let's make this select much smaller. Because I didn't expect the screen to be that small. I'm sorry. Oh, that's better. So then we can easily add more to this app. So for example, we could say, oh, I want to remove a Pokemon, right? Delete this Pokemon. So you could do Pokemon.delete. I'm going to remove the console maybe. Yay. So let's add a few more. And you can see it's really easy to get started using the data in the application. Like you don't really have to do anything in the front end. So for this demo, I'm actually using a Nux module, which is that you can also use on try, which is the Nux drizzle model. So it's actually loading the schema from the drizzle configuration here, and automatically generating an API using use drizzle here to make a SQL request to the database. So you don't even need to create the endpoints. They are automatically generated. So if we look at the console here, we can see if I add a new one. Oh, the screen is so small. I'm very sorry. Where is it? I only see the. How can I hide this time thing? Oh, it's here. So we can see that it sent a request to the generated API. So of course you can put some security measures into this. So you can allow specific tables to be exposed, and then use server-side hooks to add permissions, checks, or add where conditions to the queries. So for example, you could say, oh, I will add a where it's in the project ID, kind of things in SQL. So it's automatically scoped to a project or user. So you can do really secure things with this. So let's go back to the slides. So I also have, so that's the normalized cache. Yeah. So why it is normalized, it's because you have like, for each key, I can show you, maybe it's easier than like slides. So I can open the rstore DevTools in the next DevTools, which are here. So I'm in the rstore DevTools. And you can see I have a collection here, and in the cache, I have 3 Pokemons, right? So that's the 3 I added. Yeah. You can also see the history, right? So you have the fetch of the Pokemons, and you have all of them, like the mutations coming through. And we can see that there are plugins here. So, yeah. So let's, I'm gonna go a little bit quick on this. So that's not really important. This is important is understanding like that all of those queries are like actually using a computed, because the entire store is reactive, and then you're doing queries. So let's try having some real-time elements to this. So instead of using query, I can use live query instead, and it's gonna add a subscribe call in addition to what we had before with query. So I think it's demo break again. So the nice thing is that with the drizzle module, we can just go here and put WebSocket 2. That's it. So now our application is fully real time. So if I open a new window, I think I have a window here. And let's hope the demo gods are with us today. So let's see if I delete one here. Oh no, okay. Maybe not. Oh, I need to, wait. I need to change to live query. Here. So now it's gonna be real time. Nice. And the other thing I wanted to show you, so real time in Drizzle module, I'm gonna like release maybe today. And another feature I'm working on, I'm releasing today as well, is offline support. So let's see how it works. So for offline, you basically want to have synchronization to a local storage. So I'm using IndexedDB, but in theory, you could use something else, like files, or maybe not local storage. But so the idea of the offline one is that when the application starts, or when you reconnect again to the internet, so if you lose internet while the application is running, we're going to sync the state, and we're going to also automatically replay all of the mutations that happened during were offline. During while the application was offline, right? So I don't have a lot of time, sorry. So let's try it. So again, to enable this in the next Drizzle module, you just need to put offline through here, and that's it. The entire application is offline now. So let's try it. Gonna put this back always on top. To do that, I'm gonna try simulating an offline situation. So let's say we are offline now, okay. So the Chrome window is offline, but the Zen here is not, so Zen can still like add new Pokemons. Or I have an issue with there is an issue with offline in the DevTools, is that the WebSocket is not actually disconnected. So that's why I'm I'm getting the WebSocket updates, but in theory, you shouldn't get those, right? So let's go back online. And we can see, so I don't know if I can show, or maybe I should disable WebSocket for the demo, right? Would be better. Sorry. So we're gonna say, so this one is offline now, right? So I'm gonna add more Pokemons so we don't get those, right? Then I'm gonna go back online. And it like synced to the local indexed.db, which also means, so there is a local indexed.db, which means I can apply mutations while offline as well. So for example, I can add a new Blastoise, right? And as soon as I go back online, it's going to be sent, should be sent. Oh. Well, the demo is not, demo god is not with us today. Let's try again. Oh, you actually sent it. Oh, yeah, I disabled WebSocket, sorry. So let's try again. So I'm offline, right? So it's not gonna like live update because I disabled WebSockets. Oh. So if I refresh it here, nothing like changed, right? Because this one is online, so the one on the left. So if I go back online, it's gonna send the mutation again. And if I refresh here, it's gone. So it works, yeah. So that's basically how offline mode works. So it could be integrated with all kind of different plugins. So currently I'm like using it in the Drizzle module, but you could also integrate in offline mode with any kind of plugin. So demo we did. So yeah, I guess that's it. I hope you enjoyed the demos. So they worked, so I'm glad. And the Wi-Fi was a little bit spotty, sorry about that. So you can find more information on rstore.dev if you want about rstore. And I'm actually gonna release a new version. Let's try it. Finger crossed. So that's the new version that has the offline plugin you can use in your application, and also WebSocket for the Drizzle module. So let's see how it goes. In the meantime, I think the new website went up. Yes, it did. So you can find more information on the website and check it out if you want. Thank you. Yeah, let's release. Pay the Wi-Fi. Change logs will be correct. So it's actually a very nice new version. Correct. Publishing. Oh, it didn't work. So I'll do it after the talk. So yeah, arigatou gozaimasu. Thank you for tuning in.